Heat, 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 heat. I be selling that heat.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Showtime Satch here with another episode of the Satchmoe Show. And here we are, we're going to be breaking out ESFL 147, giving a little preview here, how I think some of the fights are going down. And then we'll have a topic at the end talking about fighter picks. So without further ado, let's get right into it, man. First fight that came to mind to me was KM Yoda versus KB King. Both of these guys, elite level strikers. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. You know, a lot of people, you just look at the record and you might think they stink, 1-2. Let me tell you what, man, 1-2, as a guy who's 1-4 in the ESFL, 1-2 is not bad. All right. When you're facing top level competition night in, night out, you're not always going to come out with the victory. But what I do know is that one of these guys more than likely is going to get a contract for next season, and the other guy most likely not. So they got everything to gain, everything to lose, and for that reason, I think it's all going to be on the line. I can see these guys throwing hands, but if I got to give a prediction, man, I think Yoda gets the best of King. I've been in the ring with both of them. I think Yoda has a little bit of a striking advantage, and that's going to take him through with a second-round knockout. Moving on down the list, we have Hammer versus Dave. And a lot of this fight doesn't really stick off the page. Hammer and Dave have definitely been staples in the community for a long time, but they haven't been known for the most exciting fights. However, both of these guys are two of the most elite wrestlers we have in the ESFL. So just seeing these guys go at it, whether even takedowns are involved, a lot of the time when you have two elite wrestlers, the fight stays on the feet. You can look at Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, a fight like that, two great wrestlers, ended up being on the feet. So we'll see if the wrestling cancels out. Or if one guy has a meaningful advantage. Personally, when it comes to the feet, I see Dave, he's more of a traditional boxer, keeps those hands up high, doesn't use a lot of kicks, more just, he's going to throw like maybe a 3-punch combo and get out. With Hammer, on the other hand, Hammer's a guy who utilizes the teep kick, a lot of spinning shit, and he, has the elbows, the knees, a lot of that dirty boxing, we'll say. And for that reason, I think Hammer does have a little advantage on the feet. Might get Dave a little frustrated with those teep kicks, and I think Hammer comes out decision victory. And in the co-main event, Yoda versus Trixie, man. This is a huge fight. Obviously, Trixie's coming off a loss to Nader. However, if you look at the fight beforehand when he got the belt, he looked fantastic. I mean, his whole run he's been on for the past couple fights, he's looked great. Nader just had a fantastic performance and was able to get the better of him. However, you can't pass Yoda, man. He is coming off of winning against Dirty Dave, but that's a completely different style of fight. As we were just talking about earlier, Dirty Dave, big wrestler, he doesn't have too much with the hands. Trixie's the exact opposite. I mean, he has some defensive wrestling ability, but he's obviously more known for that creative striking. And if you've never been in the ring with Trixie, you're not going to understand. This guy, he just throws things that you're not expecting. He knows how to land it perfectly. And for that reason, I see Trixie coming out of there with a third-round knockout victory. And let's get into the main event, the championship fight. Your champion, Nader, going against KM Caliber. And I actually interviewed both of these fighters this weekend, asking them how they feel about the fight. And this is what they had to say, man. I asked Caliber, his last fight against Nader was less than a month ago. They fought in prime time on Fight Night 48. He got knocked out. So I asked him about that. I'm like, how do you plan to overcome? This guy just beat you. What's going to be different? He says his striking's improved massively, and now he knows those tendencies, and he's going to be able to exploit them on Saturday. And then obviously I asked Nader the same question. I said, well, you just came off this win. What's really motivating you? Do you think that this is a challenge for you? What he told me, he said no challenge at all. He said he's better than Caliber everywhere, and he guaranteed himself a knockout. And then I asked the same question about these guys, about the future. If you win this fight, ESFL 150 right up the road, will you be, what kind of fight would set you over and be a mega fight for you? Caliber, he said he's just worried about Saturday. He's not worried about the future. Nader actually said he wants to fight Yoda. He's the guy he thinks deserves the opportunity. Got to respect that. He's not reaching for the stars. He's staying focused and trying to get the next guy up, a little ladder to get up. You got to respect it. And let's go into the breakdown of this fight, man. As we were talking about earlier, Nader coming off a very dominant victory versus Trixie, which, in my opinion, is the best performance of his career. If you want to see what Nader's about, go watch that fight. He was perfect in the striking, did everything he needed to do to win. When you look at Caliber is a fundamentally sound striker. He's got a solid ground game, but the problem is he fails to take the fight to the ground. He's a guy that he doesn't fight until he gets backed into a corner, if that makes sense. He's not going to bring the fight to you. And I think that's the biggest issue with him. He's not willing to engage wrestling unless you do it first, or he's not going to start throwing knees unless you throw him first, And there is somewhat of an honor to that, but at the same time, it is very limiting. When you're becoming the champion, everything has to be at your utility. And if you're not using it, you're losing. And for that reason, I see Caliber falling into the pitfalls that have gone before, and I think Fat Nader gets a second round knockout. All right, now that's all for 147. We do have a topic to discuss today, man. It was on Twitter. I saw it about a week ago. Guys were discussing whether ESFL should change its fighter selection. So, right now we see a lot of, mirror matches and stuff that, like mirror matches, right? And I did a research study about this. Personally, myself, from ESFL 140 to 145, marked up the books. 40% of ESFL fights are mirror matches, and almost half of those mirror matches are just McGregor. So that means that 20% of your fights are seeing Conor McGregor versus Conor McGregor, right? And then when we go as a whole, the top 2 fighters from each weight class make up almost 3/4 of all fighters chosen. So that means you're only seeing a guy who's not top 2 in that weight class 25% of the time, which is extremely low. And when it comes to that, man, you're just not. When we have so many fighters at our disposal, guys like Dan Hooker never get a shine, right? Because everyone's choosing Conor. You cannot choose some of these overpicked guys. And personally, look, I'm not just the person that's going to come out here, say an issue, and not come up with a solution. I do have a solution. All right, here's what we're doing, boys. So I say we break the fighters down into 3 sections. You got Division 3, Division 2, Division 1. Division 3 guys, that's going to be your guys ranked 50 to 30, and they have to use 4-star and below. That's it. Division 2 guys, you're ranked 30 through 10. They can use everyone except for Dustin, Connor, Jan, or Whitaker. Because those are the most overpowered guys in the fight game. We see them way too fucking much. You hop on rank, those are the only people anyone's using. Even when you go to ESFL, the only people anyone's using. And then I say for the 9 through 1 guys, they can use anyone, but mirror matches are still banned. Some people think that the Conor McGregor mirror truly shows who's better at the game. It just shows who's better with Conor McGregor. And, I mean, if that's what you want to brag about, okay, but, guys want to see a real fight. The fans, me as a fan, I want to see a real fight. I don't want to see this make-believe shit where you got a guy with a goddamn chain on and a fucking head mask fighting Conor McGregor. Like, that don't make no sense to me. I think it's stupid. If y'all feel the same way, let me know. I think that's a sentiment a lot of people do agree with. And then, obviously, if there's, let me just get this caveat out there. If a Division 2 guy fights a Division 1 guy, they go on Division 1 rules. So, it's fair. You can't have someone using Conor and the other guy doesn't have the ability to. Be a little unfair. And then the way we get around mirror matches is that if 2 guys select the same person, let's say they all talk to Luber. They're talking to him, and they both say, I want to use Conor. Conor's now banned. Pick someone else. They both say they want to use keeps going until they both pick someone different. And I think that's going to help out. How do you guys feel about this issue? Are mirror matches the problem? Should this be something that ESFL works to fix or just let it happen? Also, how do y'all feel about ESFL 147? Who's going to come out on top, Caliber or Fat Nader? Guys, there's a lot to unpack. I will see y'all in the next one.
I'm the long shot. Jackpot, 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 jackpot. Riding around the block. Shooting those shots.